I suppose it depends what influence he has and how seriously you take him. What's your take on this?
So over the last few months, this has been a conversation within the school playgrounds and some of the work that we do in schools around gender-based violence. So this isn't new for us. We've heard Andrew Tate's name for a couple of months now and a bit longer. And what we're seeing is particularly young boys really standing in solidarity around this topic and having a couple of his clips and referring to them as correct and right and almost knowing what he says word for word. And the pictures that you're displaying now are pictures that these children hold very dear to them because they see the words that he's saying, they hear what he's got to say, but then they also see this millionaire lifestyle alongside that. So they see success, they see wealth, and they see women then as the problem or the barrier for them to get that. And they put these two connections together, and then they believe that that is how they need to sort of progress and go forward in life. And it all equates to gender-based violence and that hierarchy of violence as well.
Neelam, I wanted to bring you in now a viewer who's been in touch with us. This is Joan. She says, in our house, my husband prefers to be in the kitchen. She is banned totally. She says, Andrew Tate's comments are crass, but it should be allowed to be said without anyone being insulted. It's a ridiculous world that we live in. So what would you say to that, Neelam? So Joan's saying,
well, what I would say to that, anybody that's coming out, any man that's coming out and saying women are stupid, women can't drive, women should be in the kitchen, whatever, should be banned, because it's not so much what's coming out of his mouth or what certain people accept. But Neelam and Fraser, I suppose what I'm saying is there are kids who are going to believe this and then they're going to practice this and then it leads to domestic violence and all sorts of horribleness. Yes. Neelam.
So what we're seeing in classrooms is exactly that. We're seeing children at a younger age almost say, well, girls are supposed to be doing these subjects. They're supposed to be doing things around cooking. They don't have to do things like PE because they can't go into sports. We're seeing that happen at a younger age now, and that gender divide, because there's a belief that girls do certain jobs, girls have a certain place. We have had young boys say to us around, when we're talking about things like sex education, that they don't want to be with anyone that's not a virgin because Andrew Tate says they're the type of women that you should be going with. So you're seeing this permeate through into very young teenagers at this point. So that's the bit that we're quite scared about. And the conversation is much bigger than Andrew Tate at this point. This conversation, we can't be satisfied with just Andrew Tate being deplatformed because it's not really a point about free speech at this point. It's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok isn't a public forum. That's the public square in the middle of London. We do have an opportunity here to really curb some of this behaviour, online behaviour that we're seeing that is dangerous. We're seeing a rise of online misogyny. We're seeing a rise of, online hate directed to marginalised communities.
So Fraser's not argument enough to ban him?
I think far more dangerous than anything Andrew Tate has said, and let's agree that, his views are moronic, some of them are monstrous, but far more dangerous than that is the creeping rise of censorship. And this censorship is being done by large companies who have no accountability to us, mostly in California, in the case of TikTok in Beijing. They are deciding what is acceptable for us to say and think, and that is a problem. And when you're talking about free speech, of course, it's always the outrageous cases you're talking about. No one is arguing about the free speech of our right to say flowers are pretty and don't we all like pets. It's always about the hard cases. And what you realise is that when you give up your power to speak freely, when you say it's acceptable for the tech firms to censor things, one day they'll censor Andrew Tate and we'll say, oh well, we didn't agree with him, he was nasty. And the next they're censoring a gender-critical feminist. The next day they're censoring someone that we might agree with or who might have a point.
Is there ever a line? I mean, Andrew Tate is being accused of radicalising men and boys to commit sexual offences offline. I mean, at that point when it is actually a danger to young girls and young women, is that not a limit for you?
I think this is a slightly over-the-top claim. I'm sure, I don't doubt for a second that lots of young boys are repeating the kind of stuff that they hear from Andrew Tate. I'm sure there was a similar panic a couple of years ago with Dapper Laughs. There have been various pickup artists over the years that have emerged from the kind of, dark recesses of the web that have become famous and people repeat their lines and we all get worried about it. There can be problems here, and it's the role of schools, it's the role of parents to, put young boys right, to say that this is not how you talk about women, this is not how you treat women. But, censoring these voices online is just not going to help. We shouldn't imagine that it's going to ruin the lives of young children just to see these Andrew Tate clips, whether that's boys or girls.